Today, I just thought I'd give a quick update with what's happening with the tariff situation. We saw some developments last week. I think things are changing. I think that investors are seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel because the tariffs on China staying at 145%, that's just going to really put the U.S. economy into a tailspin. And the economy's already showing signs of slowing down, so that would not be a good thing. But last week's reaction to some of the news taking place indicates investors really are anticipating some positive developments in the future. And I think that we are going to see that take place. So we go back last Monday, what we saw was, first of all, China came out and said, we have had no negotiations with the U.S. whatsoever. And the U.S. says, no, negotiations are going great progress. It's a little hard to believe. I don't know who to believe on that. But then China came out with an announcement and said that they were going to take action against any company, any country that was lining up with the U.S. against their interests. The markets didn't like that, so we saw the S&P 500 down 2.4% on Monday. On Tuesday, things started to change. That's when Trump came out and said basically the tariffs on China at 145% are not going to stay. They're too high. They will come down significantly. Now, investors sort of figured that out a while ago, that they can't stay at 145%. That's basically an embargo. And the problem is if you take a look at U.S. companies, we always think about the imports from China as being, oh, the cheap plastic stuff, the toys in Walmart or something. But that's not true. You know, yes, of course, that's a large component. But if you take a look at how much the U.S. imports from China, 37% of the goods that are imported from China are the intermediate goods that companies actually use to make other things. And that is really going to throw a wrench into the U.S. economy if you start raising those costs up significantly. And it's not possible for these companies that are importing all this to all of a sudden switch instantaneously to another country. It's just, the supply chain just doesn't work that way. So I think, you know, Trump realizes that China at this point, they're just not going to negotiate. I mean, they have to save face. They can't just all of a sudden be seen as being weak, making all these concessions along the way. That's just not part of their culture. And I think Trump was trying to signal that a little bit. And Percent came out and gave some conflicting messages back and forth about, yes, we're going to hold the tariffs. And then he said, well, no, they're unsustainable. They're coming down. I think investors at this point are just saying, look, you know what, we've had enough of all these announcements back and forth. Right now, we think the development's going to probably be positive in the future, just like what we saw with Europe and the rest of the world, as far as pausing those tariffs. And Trump did say when the pause comes off, they're going right back. He said that last week, but at this point, so far in the future, I don't think investors really care. So we saw the stock market react positively to this development. We saw the S&P 500 4 days in a row having a strong week as well. So here's what I think is going to happen with the tariffs on China. I think Trump will probably come back and say, well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to pause the tariffs on China, but not just pause and go back to zero, but pause and put the tariffs like to 20% or something of that nature. And then probably raise the tariffs over time if we can't reach those proper negotiations. So I think we're probably going to see that development take place. And I think the market would see that as being a positive development as well. But you know, the stock market has reacted strongly to this development, let's say, that took place last week. It doesn't mean that the stock market's going to have this multi-week, multi-month rally just because of this development. We are seeing weaker earnings this earnings season than expected. The economy is showing some signs of stumbling here, so it could be a little bit of an issue as well. But it is a positive development. So we'll have to see what happens. By the way, so I'm actually shooting this video stationary. I'm actually down in Oakville, down by the lake. I went to go for a walk down by the lake today, but I came across all these bugs that were just like hordes and hordes of them, like being invaded in the last days of the earth or something. And today I'm going to give an update on the tariffs, what's taking place. Oh geez, these bugs are really, really bad down by the lake here. I don't know if you can see them. Like, I'll move the camera around, but there's just hordes of them. I'm actually eating these bugs as I'm talking. I think I have to seek some higher ground and a spot with some wind to take away the bugs, because this is like crazy stuff. I had to come up here to the top end of the park to shoot this video. But thank you very much for joining me today.